So real quick here, I just wanted to do a trade breakdown of the trade that I took today. First trade of the year. Um, I was planning on trading January 7th, but I broke my rule. I broke that little discipline factor there in waiting for the 7th. Saw this trade here and took action on it. Now, this was a trade that was a little bit under 2%. Um, and it was a minute long, literally. Um, Took the trade, got in, got out, about 24 points. Um, I'm not happy on the execution. My execution could have been better. Um, the framing of the trade was there. It made 100% sense. I handled the pre-execution things correctly. It was just once I took the trade, a lot of emotions got into play. Um, and I was a little unsteady with taking the trade as it was playing out. I was looking at the fluctuation of my P&L, which isn't the best because a lot of emotions come in when you're like, oh shit, I'm down $300. Oh shit, I'm up 500. So, for example, in this trade, I was down maybe $140, 200 bucks around there. And once price started dropping, I was like, oh shit, I'm up like 800 bucks. I'm up 700 bucks. And I literally got out once I seen 971. And I was literally, my emotions were like ecstatic. I was like, yo, let's fucking go. I just made, under a grand in less than a minute, yada, yada, yada. But I literally sat there and was like, yo, I didn't really do what I've been doing for, the last month or 3 months or so, last quarter, you know? And I was just like, yo, what actually took over me right now? Like my emotions were at like a high. And I was like, yo, shit, I just made, X amount of dollars, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no, the emotions that you had during the trade did not match what you've been doing the last quarter. So it was really a check on myself personally and how I need to approach this account. Um, it felt like I put this account on a pedestal. It felt like, yo, this account, like I need to win. I only need to win, you know? And that's just not the case when it comes to trading. Like you're gonna lose. I'm going to lose. Like it's part of trading. I don't want to lose, right? Each and every trade that I take, I'm going to make sure that it matches my rules, it matches my criteria in a setup that I should execute on. But sometimes, those trades don't plan out the way you want them to. Um, so, long story short, took this trade, ended up banking under 2%, first trade of the year on this 50K account. Um, but it wasn't the ideal um, expectation or the way I wanted it to happen. Um, so I'll just break down exactly what I did. So over the break of trading that I took, dove back into some old videos of ICT, and I wanted to get a little bit better at calling out price and reading price on a higher time frame level. Excuse me. So with that, I looked back at the IPTA data ranges. So noting my previous 20, 40, and 60 days on the daily, my previous 3 weeks on the 4 hour, and my previous 3 days on the hourly and everything underneath that. So from a higher time frame standpoint, looking at it, we have some previous lows, sell side liquidity that we're looking at. On the daily, we have this huge SIBI and this order block here that we're respecting. So my draw ideally is the sell side liquidity here and the sell side liquidity over here, right? So with that going down to a 4 hour, looking at order flow, SIBI's being left open, BISI's being closed, yada, 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 all the way down. We're approaching this bearish order block and this cluster of new day opening gaps. On the 15-minute, similar situation. If you zoom out a little bit to your 3 days, looking back, you have day one, day two, and day three. You can see that we're in a little bit of a downtrend. Price is not pushing up for buy side liquidity. We're either consolidating or pumping to take out buy side and then dropping significantly to take out sell side. So at the day, I noted my midnight open, noted my 8:30 open. We can see here on NQ, we have a lower high. We go to ES, there's a higher high on the previous day highs. On YM, higher high. So there was SMT divergence playing there for me. So jumping down into my lower time frame, my 1 minute, this was what I was seeing. So with me wanting to get better at calling out the higher time frame, I also want to get better at knowing that, okay, if my daily and my 4 hour are bearish and we're looking for a higher time frame, sell side liquidity or buy side liquidity, I only want to take trades in that direction, right? There's no reason why I should be going against the higher time frame order flow. That's like swimming upstream when everything is going downhill, you know? So with that, I noted my first presentation fair value gap, and I wanted to see, shorts. So with that, um, price traded lower at the open and then rallied significantly. So old me, like 6 months ago, would be wanting to look for a long opportunity inside of this, right? But me now, knowing, I'm like, hey, why am I looking for a long if my higher time frame, my order flow is bearish? Like that's like catching a falling knife. So that I literally stuck, sat down, sat on my hands a little bit. And as price approached this new day opening gap here and got above 8:30, I was looking and I asked myself the question of, all right, what do I need to see in order to be bearish? What has to happen? So I noted this order block here. And as price was pushing higher, I wanted to say, okay, cool. If we're bullish, we would find support at this order block here. If we're bearish, we'll break through it. This will now be our breaker. And then we'll retap that and look for sell side. So as price was developing here on this candle at 1019, we get a full close through this order block here. Now confirming that as my breaker, I wanted to see price tap the low of the breaker or create a fair value gap like it did, and then run into that. And then I wanted to go short. But here in this case, price ends up fully falling through, without tapping the breaker and without creating that fair value gap for me to get in at. So it just fully falls. I think it felt like 100 or so points. Yeah, felt like 115 points. I was like, oh, damn, okay, cool. I'll just have to wait and see how price develops around this new day opening gap and this first presentation fair value gap. Long story short, price bounces at this new day opening gap, gives a little retracement into this first presentation fair value gap. Now, what I should have done was use this first presentation fair value gap as my entry. 100%. That's what I should have done. So in here, let me move this down. In a perfect world, in a perfect scenario, what should have happened, what I should have done was say, okay, cool. I'm still bearish. I'm still looking for price to trade lower to these lows here. We're filling in BISIs. We just broke through this first presentation for value gap on like your 2 minute or your 5 minute. This is a balanced price range in my understanding of price. This was a BISI and a fair value gap at one point, and then we had a single pass through on the sell side. So this is now a balanced price range here for me, and I want to continue seeing price trade lower to sell side. So using that, what I should have done was take my trade here, stops above the first presentation fair value gap, and my target should have been either this swing low there or the lows here. Now, price ends up, coming here and then consolidating off a little bit, but that's what I should have done. Nice 1 to 2 setup, in and out, 69.70 points should have been pretty good. But what ended up happening with emotions being tied into it, with, all types of things being tied into it, what ended up happening was as price was bullish here, or not bullish, but as there were um, bullish candles being printed up into this first presentation for value gap, I hesitated. The thought in my mind of the if or should or what would happen if started to play out in my head, and I hesitated. I sat on my hands a little bit too long. Um, when I should have gotten in right here on this up candle as price tapped into this first presentation for value gap. I was saying to myself, oh, well, what if price trades up into this for value gap? Or what if price taps the consequent encroachment of the gap? I don't want to experience that much drawdown. I don't want to, yada, 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 whatever it was. What I should have came to the realization of was, okay, this is my breakaway gap. This is my breakaway gap. I'm going to account for price to stay underneath this, uh, the consequent encroachment of this fair value gap. Because if we do, that's heaviness, that's bearishness, that's price showing me that it's failing to get up into this fair value gap. It's seeking sell side. So I should have had that mindset as I was taking the trade, but instead I had the mindset of lack. I had the mindset of, oh, what happens if I lose? What if price pushes up deeper into a premium and then falls short? What if I take this loss on, this is the first trade that I'm taking on this 50K account? What if I lose? What if I take a big loss, big, for me to handle? So that was all playing in my mind, all in the span of 3 minutes, literally, as price tapped this high here, tapped this first presentation for value gap. And then once I seen this candle created here, where it was failing to push up to the consequent encroachment, snapped out of it and said, no, this is bearish. We're going to take this short here. So as price printed here on this 1028 candle, I got in short at 21,292, and I'm not happy about the I'm not happy about the execution because it should have been a lot better. But this was what I was seeing. So I got in here, put my stop, I believe, at the consequent encroachment of the FFP, first presentation for value gap. And I wanted to target either the midpoint, which was underneath this low here, or the full uh, new day opening gap. But, and this is another thing that happened, and I want to be transparent with you guys. I looked down at my P&L here, and as price was fluctuating here, I saw minus 140, or red 140, red 200, then red 300, red 800, red 700, red 900, and blue, green, sorry. I saw minus 140, red 200, then green 300, green 500, green 800, green 700, green 900. And I'm like, oh shit, this is my first trade on my first funded account. I'm going to take this. Who am I to watch this trade fully out? I'm here to make money. So I ended up taking the full position off. I had two contracts on. I took everything off at 21,268. So 21, here, let me go ahead and put this 21,268 flat. So as you can see, this is a negative. Well, not even negative. Is it negative? Would it be considered negative? Yeah, this would be considered negative. Um, Negative RR. Um, so that is why I would consider this like a not a good trade. My pre-market analysis and pre-execution analysis, my reasoning to get in the trade was spot on. It was 100%. That was amazing. The trade was good. You know, if I did what I was supposed to do and entered here at the first presentation for a value gap, got out, you know, as price was approaching that 50-point mark, I would have been good. That's a great trade. You know, 52 points using two contracts is, I believe, 2 grand around there. Um, so, you know, that would have been good. You know, um, that would have been good. I would have been cool with that. It would have played out to what I wanted it to do. And, you know, this would have been a little bit different. But with me taking a trade within, you know, a 1 minute candle and that playing out, you know, to me having a green, ending the day green, 971 bucks, a little under 2%. But the wave of emotions and the mental capital that I was experiencing and going through during the trade is not what I want to experience moving forward. Right? If that makes sense, I hope it does. In the comments, let me know if that makes sense. If you guys have gone through something similar to that, let me know. I want to know if, you know, if I'm going crazy or not. But long story short, to make this, you know, quick and easy, I took this trade here on this funded 50K account, made a little under 2%. I'm not happy with the execution that I took, the emotions that I was experiencing during the trade, and um, having this trade be a, you know, under or negative RR, right? Because I'm thinking about it. If this were to have been flipped, if this were to be negative 971, how would I feel? You know, so I'm keeping that in my mind, and keeping that into account. So yeah, I am happy about the pre-market analysis, about me waiting on my hands, sitting on my hands prior to taking this execution here. Um, so that is great. I'm happy about that. It's just as I'm in the trade, I need to fix and take into account the discipline that needs to be noted, um, my execution, making sure that that is in shape and in line, understanding that not every trade is going to be a winner. Not every trade is going to plan out the way I want it to. So just keeping those things in mind, keeping those in check, and, you know, moving forward with the mindset of knowing that I need to treat this account as like I've been treating the, you know, combine. You know, like I went through the combine pretty good, not having, you know, these emotions. Um, so I need to, you know, I would, moving forward here, what I'll do with Asia coming up in, you know, a couple hours, I'll do a pinball volatility exercise in that Asia session, just to, you know, get all of the emotions out, or get my mind back into the flow of taking trades, executing trades, um, using proper risk management, that sort of thing. And what I'll do also, I'll just end this week here on this Thursday, and I'll take the tomorrow AM session and do it as a pinball drill as well. So I'll record that as it's playing out, and then upload it here so you guys, you know, can take a peek at that. But yep, that's today's trade on this account. Um, Up a little under 2%. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I ended off the day green, but I don't feel green. Um, but I guess there's going to be days like that. So I'll just continue to keep you guys updated on how things move forward. So yeah, I will record the Asia session for tonight and the AM session for tomorrow. So those will be live trades, and I'll upload those right after, so that, you know, it's pretty easy um, to view. But yeah, I feel like I'm rambling on here. Um, so other than that, I'm out of here. Hope you guys are doing good. Happy New Year to you guys. But yep, that's pretty much it. So peace until next time.